guys, welcome back to the last part in this Graphite features tutorial series. And so in this part we're going to be going through how to draw the mouth. We did the nose in the last part, and so in this one we're focusing on getting those lips drawn in. We're using the exact same materials, so I'll just run through them again. We're using the 4H pencil, we're using the B pencil, the 3B pencil and a 6B. We're also going to be using the black Faber-Castell polychromos and also some blending stumps, a kneaded eraser and maybe a normal eraser. And so I've got it sketched out, and that is all attached to the post so that you can follow along as well. And I want to go straight in with the 6B pencil on the middle part of the lips. So this is the darkest area of the lips, and so what we're going to do is just get them all blocked in. So just use a bit of pressure to get that nice and dark. Go back up, I just want to add a bit more pressure to those areas. So I'm going to use a bit more pressure now. Just get that area nice and dark. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with the B pencil and start to get in the structure of the lips. So I'm going to shade in the main shadows for the lips using this B pencil. Okay. So I'm just shading these in. Adding the shade into the bottom as well. Just working on the darkest shadowed areas. So it tends to be that the darkest areas are around the sort of sides, and the central parts are more highlighted, and this gives it that full sort of look to it, to the lips. So I'm going in with the point of the B pencil to work on adding more of the darker shadows. Get these dark shadows in. I'm now going to jump in with the 3B pencil and add the darker shadows. Just hype up the contrast. So I'm also working on getting some of these darker creases in, and when you're drawing creases in the lips you need to look at the direction that the creases are going in. And this is really important if you want to make it look 3D and full. You need to get them going in the right direction. I'm going to work on getting in the skin now, around it, the rest of the skin. So to do that, let's switch back to the 3B pencil. I'm just shading that 3B pencil over that area. So I'm just adding some shading to the skin around the mouth. Really looking at how it kind of connects with the nose and how they work sort of together. And just add in some more of the shading. With the side of the pencil, as always, keep using the side of the pencil. Adding some more shading just below the lips. So now that I've got the first base layer down of shading, I'm going to blend it out using the blending stump. Just soften out the whole area. So I'm just using the blending stump as well to add additional shading. So adding the shadows in the right places, you'll see, will give it a really nice plump look to the lips. I'm also getting in some of the creases just by using the blending stump to get in some of those shadows. I'm now going to blend out the skin using the side of the blending stump, just shading that whole area. Blend the edge of the lips into the skin. Just blend over the whole thing. Now I'm using the blending stump to add some shading for the darker shadowed areas, pressing down harder on the blending stump. This will help us get a darker look to these areas. I'm going to blend it a little bit with the tissue. Adding the darker shadows for the Cupid's bow area. And also this shadow here. So I'm just pressing down harder with the blending stump to get those shadows. Now I'm going to add a bit of 6B to the more shadowed areas. Lightly add the 6B. Blend as I go. Then add a bit more. Blend that. Add in some more of the shadows by the nose. And by the mouth. There we go. Blend this into the highlighted area. Add a bit more shadow. Add a bit of shading underneath the mouth. Blend that out. So now I'm going to thicken up that centre line. Darken it up as well. Shading in those darker areas. Add the second layer of shadows. I'm basically just going over those same areas where I've already added the shadows, but with just like a second layer using the 6B pencil. Blend it out as I go. So I'm adding the shading and then blending it as I go. Add in the shadows again, just lightly building up that pencil. Add some shadows to this top part here. Add in some more of those creases. So I'm blending this out. So just keep looking between your reference photo and your drawing and see what you need to tweak. You want to make sure that all the structure is accurate before you start adding lots of details to it, like adding all of the individual creases. Now I'm going to add some shading for the Cupid's bow. Make that a bit darker. Add some more shading for the right hand side. Make that part darker. Working on the skin, just want to get the structure looking right. So I'm just tweaking the shadows. So now let's work on getting some of the highlights down. So let's go in with our kneaded eraser. And so I first want to highlight just above the mouth. And so there's a highlight by the side of the mouth, following the shape of that. There's a highlight on this side. Just gonna soften all that out by going over it with the blending stump, so those highlights aren't so harsh. And now I'm just gonna go back over and pull up the brightest highlights. Blend over that. And over that area. So I'm blending it out with the stump again. So there's a highlight just below the lips as well. Just blending over that. Blend over this. I'm just following the shapes of the highlights, the way they curve. Tone it down a bit though. Want to go in again with the 6B and just get that center line really nice and dark. And blending out the lips again, these shadows. I'm going to blend that out. So now I'm going to go in and add some of the highlighted areas on the lips themselves. So first I want to add the main shapes of the highlights, and then I'll add in all of the sort of highlighted creases. So I'm just looking at the reference photo and picking out the lightest areas, or just the areas that need to go a bit lighter, and I'm just getting them in. So now I'm going over that with the blending stump to tone them down. Okay. I want to define the edge of the mouth a bit more. Okay, so now I want to go in with the B pencil, just add in some creases, some details. So again, just building up these shadows as well as the details now, the little cracks and creases in the lips. It's important to go with the direction that they are meant to be going in. That's so important. So I'm going to go in with the black polychromos pencil to darken up that centre line. Get that area really nice and black. So because this area is quite shadowed, I'm extending some of that black shading to lower down the lips, not just on that centre line. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side as well, and up here. And blending out the centre line. Just blend it all in together. Adding some shading now on the right hand side to try and get some shadows going on for the skin around the lips. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in with the kneaded eraser and I just want to pull up some more highlights very lightly. So you shouldn't really blend out with your finger. I don't recommend it. Always use a blending stamp. Add in the highlights. So add some highlights up here. And so I'm happy with the lips. I'm happy with how they look for the moment. And so what I'm going to do is add some of the freckles to the skin around the area. So I'm going to go in with the B pencil and just add some of these freckles. There isn't as many as was on the nose. Just very lightly want to add them. I'm going to add a variety of sizes and shapes. Some I'm going to barely touch the pencil to the paper so that they're just really faint. And others I will do a lot darker. But I am going to be blending over this with the blending stump. So they'll all be toned down even more. There's a dark freckle on the actual lip. Just got a few more freckles to add. Nearly done. And so now I'm going to go in with my stump and just soften them out by just going over it very lightly to blend them into the background and their surrounding areas a bit more, into the skin around it. For the lighter areas, I'm going to go over it with some tissue. And now I'm just going in with the 4H and I'm just going to add more shadow to the darkest freckles, as well as adding some very light freckles as well. Put a freckle onto the lips here. But anyway guys, that is basically it for this mouth study using graphite. I really hope you enjoyed it and found this video series useful. Let me know if you want to see even more studies of facial features, hair, whatever you want. Just let me know what other sort of series you'd like to see in graphite, and I will try my best to make them for you guys if lots of you sort of want the same thing. But I'll be definitely doing more portraits in graphite series soon. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial series. Just make these little final details and adjustments. Sometimes it can be hard to finish it because you just keep wanting to change things and adjust things, and you spot things that can be tweaked and adjusted, and so you just spend ages just fiddling around with things. So I'm just going to do this one shadow over here, blend out that one shadow. Going with the tissue. Just lighten up that freckle a little bit. But anyway guys, that is it for this tutorial, and I will see you next time. Bye everybody.